This is J. Krishnamurti's first public question and answer meeting at Brockwood Park, 1973.
What shall we talk over this morning together? It's really not a discussion, really, but a dialogue, conversation between two or more people. Conversation between people who are really serious, who are dedicated to the discovery of what freedom means, what authority, the whole problem of existence, what's involved in it. I wish we could talk over these things together simply and very clearly. So what would you like to talk about? What's that? Nature of thought.
So I have a question for you. You talk about approaching this with a serious mind. And I'd like to ask you whether, in attempting to discuss with you, in attempting to ask you a question or just dialogue, there isn't a kind of, or there is, on my part at least, a kind of self-flattery. Now, with this self-flattery there, just in participation, how can there be seriousness?
How can there be seriousness if one is flattering oneself in asking questions and talking things over?
Despite all of this sincerity, the self-flattery seems to be a mechanism.
It seems to be a mechanism, this flattering oneself. Perhaps we can go through that flattery too, finish with it and get on with it.
So in what sense do we create these things we are seeing, and what does it mean to perceive without the perceiver?
What does it mean to observe without the observer?
Can we use?
Yes, sir. Just a minute.
So, at the basis of all this, there seem to be, there's the word, and there's the reality to which the word points. And it seems that between those 2 points, it needs a certain quality of seriousness to do it, to want to do it. Now, if one hasn't got that quality of seriousness, if one hasn't got the passion which you talk about, as I think most of us haven't because we haven't gone beyond the word, is there any possibility of bringing this passion from where we stand in ourselves so that we will want to look and really will want to inquire deeply into these things if one hasn't got it?
Need I repeat that question? Right. Is that what shall we talk about first the nature of thinking, which was first asked? Why is the mind caught in a verbal dilemma, verbal cage? And how can the mind be serious if it is merely functioning at the verbal level? Shall we discuss that? Would it interest? Has it any value?
Yes.
Don't say yes casually, but let us. He wanted to know what is the nature and the structure of thought, and whether thought can disentangle itself from the verbal network it has created for itself and functions so superficially and cannot go very deeply. Would that cover this? Shall we discuss that? Would that have some meaning? So, first of all, to discuss such a subject, one has to go into the question, why does the mind shape or form words, symbols, images? Is it the very nature of thinking? We are asking, please, I am not laying down anything. Is it the nature of thought to fragment, to bring about a fragmentation between the observer and the observed, between the word and the non-word, between the action and the formula? Is it the nature of thought? Thought in itself must function in a formula, in a framework of words, images, knowledge. I do not know if you have ever realized, if we have ever realized, that we always have a formula. A conclusion, a verbal conceit. Have you noticed? You have seen on probably television and other places a whole group of children being trained. Trained to conform to the pattern of that particular state, of that particular ideology, whether that ideology be Catholic, communist, Hindus, and so on, so on, so on. And we are all trained in that, aren't we? Please, I'm not giving a talk. I will do that on Saturday and Sunday. Now we're trying to talk over together as two friends who are really concerned about all this, and find out whether the mind must always function with formulas. I don't quite hear what you say.
I'm just thinking that if a concept is derived from abstracted from perception, as you said yesterday.
That's right. That's what we said the other day. It is so, isn't it?
Yes.
I see children, students, and I say they must do this, this, this.
Lady, I think maybe saying there's a difference between a concept derived from that tree and a concept derived from an ideal that I have about something, because the ideal never has been, but the tree is actually the fact that I've come
Yes, that's right. So is that what she's...
upon. I think that
Aha. No, why do we function with formulas?
Can I just say what Nick said? If the concept is abstracted from perception, then it must already, in some way, be a part of perception.
No, just look at it this way, all right. As he said, look at that plant. Why do you form a verbal conclusion about that plant? Why can't you look at it non-verbally? Go slowly, we'll go into it very deeply a little later. Why can't I look at that plant without a formula, without giving it a name, a category, a formula? Why can't I observe without all the movement of thought, words and emotions, all that popping in? Why can't I just observe?
One can do that, but then the minute you want to communicate with somebody else, you have to have something.
Wait a minute, we come to that. Then I say to you, look at that plant. That is, whatever the name of that plant is. But can I observe without the word, the plant, the tree, the mountain, the river, the beauty of a tree, and so on? Just observe.
Perhaps it's the desire to grasp the plant in some way.
Or is it we have so cultivated our memory, cultivated verbally this whole verbal structure created by thought, that we look at everything through the screen of thought.
So you're talking about habit?
That's partly.
We absolutely need to in many cases.
W-
Say that's ivy, that shouldn't be there, that's poison.
I know, please, I agree, but
You need the memory attached to the vision often.
Can you observe without being conscious that you really are observing?
can you observe without being conscious that you are observing? I think let's begin again slowly. We're going off. The question is, we began, what is the nature and the structure of thought? Can the mind be free of this verbal structure? That was what you were saying. And not be caught in a series of words, formulas, repetitive memories, right?
So not quite, if I may. I'd like to get the question I asked you straight.
What, sir?
That's not quite what I...
All right, put it your own way, sir.
May I?
Yes, of course.
I'm concerned with the step before that, sir. In order to ask that question, it demands a certain amount of seriousness in one already to want to inquire. Not that is part of inquiry what you are. The step before says, I want desperately to find out. And that quality of passion, we seem to
I see, I understand, I beg your pardon.
How does one get to that quality of
How do we get, that's a different question, isn't it? How do we have this passion for inquiry? How do we have this passion to find out? Beg your pardon? What does she say? I don't think what?
There is any answer to that.
there is an answer to that.
No answer.
There is not any answer. I don't think there is any answer to that.
The statement, the lady says, I don't think there is any answer to that question. What brings about passion?
I beg to differ, but
So, wait, let's find out. What brings about passion? Let's begin with that, shall we? Bene. Let's begin with that. What brings about passion in one?
I imagine an unfulfillment.
Now, look, you are so quick to answer.
I happen to have asked that question myself.
Yes, sir, we are asking it now. Well, I am not passionate. Not in the lustful sense. I haven't got the feeling, the energy, the passion, the vitality, the intensity to go into something very serious. I haven't got it. And I see that quality of passion, energy, vitality is necessary. Like a scientist, if he hasn't got this passion, he is not a scientist. Now, how does it come about? Shall we do that? Inquire that? At last. Now let us differentiate between passion and lust. That's clear, isn't it? We know that. So we can put that aside, shall we? All right. What's that? Look at it. You see, lust can inspire passion. Can it? Sensual desire, not only sexually, sensual desire to possess a good house, a good something or other, possessiveness. You understand? Lust. Lusting after what? Not only man, woman, lusting after property, power, position, prestige. That's entirely different, surely, from having intense passion. No?
It is, yes.
Sir, my other question, sir, before you go too far into this, isn't this the basic difference between you and us?
I don't know. Sir, please. No, I don't want to enter into that. Please, sir. That becomes personal. Let's leave that out. Let's leave that out. Let's look at this. So we are talking of passion. A sustained passion which has not a motive, which is not stimulated, which is not the outcome of something. Because if it is the outcome of something, then it dies. I can lust after a house, and if I get it, it's over. And I may lust after something else. But passion isn't like that. Right? So, how does it come about?
What you're saying there, sir, is that there's an effect with no cause.
What, sir?
Aren't you saying that there's an effect with no cause? You're saying there's passion with no motive.
Look, the word passion comes from the word sorrow. Right? The word sorrow, the root meaning of passion is sorrow. And we all suffer. We all go through various categories of suffering, stages of suffering. But apparently that doesn't produce passion. Right? Sometime has it produced in you who have suffered, if you have suffered, I hope you haven't, if you have suffered, has it produced passion? Huh?
Produced it. It has destroyed it.
Beg pardon?
It has produced it with me, but it has destroyed it with someone else.
Let us go not in me or in you. That,
Is it when there's no longer any attempt to escape from suffering that passion?
If you see a conflict and you want to investigate what the essential nature of conflict is, don't you have a motive then?
Sir, we are not discussing what is conflict and how to end conflict and so on. We are trying to find out why does one, the average person, you and I, why do we not have this passion? That is what...
Firstly, sir, does that passion actually exist? Because even if I look at a scientist, I'm not at all sure that he doesn't have, in a more higher way perhaps, lust. And
he may have lust for wanting to be famous.
a pattern for the
I'm talking, sir, of a man who is passionate, not lustful. That's clear. Now we say, what is how does it come about? That's not an answer, is it? I am not attentive, therefore I am not passionate. Oh, but that leads me nowhere.
Aren't we all passionate underneath?
Sir, I thought it come about by seeing the injustice in life that there is about, but then you have the passion for something about it.
Is righteous anger passionate?
So perhaps one cannot approach it from the point of passion. One can see passion is energy, and if one approach it from the point that energy is being dissipated, then perhaps one can approach it that by stopping the dissipation, you may come to energy. So instead of asking, can one have passion, one can start looking at the lack of passion, which is the dissipation of energy.
First, we're coming to that, sir, slowly. We're coming to that.
But are we all assuming that we all know what passion is?
We are not. I suppose I don't know what passion is. I see passionate people who are dedicated, they may be dedicated to some kind of illusion, some kind of stupidity, some kind of state, and so on. But I'm talking of, we are questioning a passion that is not attached to action, not possessed.
Have we then established that passion is related to sorrow?
Passion related to
Have we established this?
what, sir?
That passion is related to sorrow?
To thought?
No, to sorrow.
I said, sir, the meaning, the root meaning of the word passion means sorrow from a dictionary. That's all. I did not say, I'm just looking at the dictionary, and when I looked at it, passion means, a root meaning is that it derives from sorrow. You see, sir, it's so difficult to converse or have a conversation with you if you have an opinion. If you have a formula, passion is this, passion isn't that, passion is not, you follow? You don't come to it afresh. We are inquiring. You understand, sir?
I think of curiosity
But we're not talking about childhood and that suppression in childhood. Please, for the love of... Look here, sir. He suggested there is a great deal of wastage of energy in all of us. We waste a great deal of energy. And this, one of the great outlets of wastage of energy is having concepts. Right? Shall we start with that? Having concepts. Having formulas. Having opinions. Judgments. I see that house, I say it's terrible. Or I see that house, how luxurious. You follow? I have opinions, judgments. And isn't that a wastage of energy? You see, sir, what is happening in the world? The Catholics, in the olden days, not very long ago, they burnt people, tortured people, Inquisition, and all the rest of it. Anybody who thought contrary, right? The communists in Russia are doing it. Anybody who thinks contrary is sent to a mental hospital. And this being trained, educated in a formula, my country is the greatest, the Soviet is the most marvelous, Mao is the greatest God on earth, and so on and on. These formulas condition the mind, right? Please, that's obvious. Now, is that not a fundamental reason for wastage of energy? That is, conforming to a pattern is a wastage of energy. Don't agree to this, please. And you are doing it.
Very often the pattern helps.
Therefore, you say pattern helps. Helps for what?
Could help to canalize the energy.
Does it? Just watch it, sir, watch it. Pattern helps, canalizes energy. Can do. Makes you dull.
What about China now, for example, just like they felt last night? Doesn't that help?
What, sir?
The pattern which is necessary at this particular period of time.
Pattern of conditioning the mind to a pattern is necessary at this particular time. So did the Russians said that, Catholics said that, everybody has said at that time it is necessary. And therefore you are saying at this time it is necessary.
I'm asking if it is. I'm not saying it.
I'm, sir, instead of asking, let's find out where pattern, conformity, formula, being trained to operate in a certain manner, is that a wastage of time? Or in certain direction it is necessary, and when that field, in that field, there must be certain conformity and so on, that's not wastage of energy. But whereas when the mind is in relationship with human beings, whether it's a child or a grown-up man, when it functions with a formula, it is wasteful of energy. That's all we are talking, right? Please come, sir, don't.
So undoubtedly right. How do you feel about that?
So CID, you know what CID is? Criminal Investigation Department. They have followed me. FBI and so on, so on, so on. We all may be conditioned in a certain direction. Perhaps that's going to happen. We are now trying to discuss, please let's keep to this, what is passion? Will it come about when there is no wastage of energy? And what is wastage of energy? That's what, keep to that simple thing.
Energy may flow and meet every time anew whatever it meets.
Madam, that's a statement. We are trying to converse together, explore together what it means. If you make a flat statement, one is stuck. Look, sir, I see conforming to a certain pattern is not wastage of energy. Keeping to the left side of the road is not wastage of energy. On the contrary, if I kept to the right side of the road, when the country says keep to the left, there's going to be accident, and that's a wastage of energy. And so on and on and on and on. And it is a wastage of energy when I function with formulas in my action in relationship. Right? I see a group of children, students. I saw it last night, and you saw it here in the tent, and I saw it in the television, where in Russia everybody is being, put through the mill to conform. To me, that's a wastage of energy.
I don't know anything else, sir.
Beg your pardon?
I don't know anything else.
I know, that's what we are saying. Of course we don't know anything else. We are so conditioned to accept formulas, to live with formulas, to function within concepts, conclusions. That's all we know. And we are monkeys. So, how do we break through that? As the gentleman pointed out, by 1985, we all may be so suspect by then, the big brother will be with us.
Sir, could we put it like this? If between seeing and acting, I take the time, create an ego, draw the conclusion, it's ended.
That's right, sir. Where there is a division between action and idea, it must be wastage of energy. Right, sir? The idea, as we know, is a concept. Concept or a conclusion derived from perception. Seeing, drawing a conclusion from seeing, and acting according to that conclusion. That is essentially a wastage of energy. And that when there is no wastage of energy, then there is passion. I don't know if you get it. What's that?
This ego is created at that very moment.
Yes, sir.
We feel it is permanent, but we could watch it and realize it is created.
Now, sir, look, let's go through it. Let's go into it. Do I or do you function from a conclusion? Children must work in the garden. Children must, or students must do this. Or, formulas. You understand all this? Dozens and dozens of formulas we have. Have you? Come on, sir. Have you?
Any amount of them.
Huh?
We have any amount of them.
So you have any... Let the aeroplane have its voice. You have any amount of them, the lady says. And do you see that having these formulas is a wastage of energy?
Conditioned formulas.
Wait, I'm just, step by step we're going to it. I have a formula. I function with formulas, right? From formulas. I look at you and I see you are an Englishman, or a German, or a Jew, or an Arab, or a Hindu, or some blasted race. And wait a minute, please. And from that, I look at you. You follow? I look at young people and say, they must work, they must build, they must put their hands in the earth. I agree they should put their hand to the earth. It's marvelous to work with the earth. But I want to force them. I want to compel them. You follow, sir? Now, I am saying to you, asking you, having these formulas, opinions, judgments, is that not wastage of energy? If it is a wastage of energy, why don't you break through it? Why do you keep on formulating? I'll show it to you. I see a snake, a cobra, a real poisonous snake. The seeing there is immediate action, isn't it? Right? That's not wastage of energy, is it? Right, sir? Now, I see I am greedy, and I then begin to say I must be greedy, I must not be greedy. I rationalize it. You follow? I don't say greed. See the whole complex network of the action from greed, and seeing is acting, ending it instantly.
I'd like to say that you are almost skipping still the original question, in the sense that you are saying we've started and you say now seeing is the action. Therefore you're already again at the end.
No, sir. Look, sir. No, sir. Please listen, sir. When I see a dangerous snake, there is instant action.
You have to reach into your memory.
Wait, I know it, sir. I know it, sir. Please just listen. I see a snake, dangerous snake, and there is instant action. That instant action has taken place because generations have said, beware of snakes. The mind is conditioned to snakes and acts instantly. Follow this up. The mind is conditioned for generations to say, well, be greedy, but get over it gradually. Have the ideal of non-greed or non-violence, but do it gradually. The gradual doing of freeing oneself from violence is a wastage of energy. And we keep this going. You follow, sir? Now, some of us have these formulas. You listen to what is being said, and you will go on with those formulas. And then at the end of you say, I have no passion. Right? So, can you observe, aware that one has these formulas, concepts, opinions, judgments, which denies freedom? You follow? And it's only when there is freedom there is energy, there is this passion. Obviously. Now, are you aware of your conclusions?
Now, sir, a minute ago you said that telling the children to go work with their hands in the garden is a conclusion, it's a phobia, and therefore a waste of energy. I would like to question this very seriously. Now, let's say we live in a community where we have a garden, and we have all the costs to be taken out in order to survive. This has nothing to do with the conditions of the garden. If you do not take care of the garden is to die, and therefore and so forth. So why then, you say, telling the children to go clean the house, taking care of the garden as such, it's rather a conclusion, or probably a conclusion derived from absolute reality.
Now wait, sir. I'll answer that question. You'll see that, sir. We have faced that question here.
I know, sir.
I worked in the garden, put my hands in the earth, planted trees, dug, all kinds of things. And for me, you follow? It's a great joy to work with the earth. How am I to show the student the necessity of doing it without compelling him? That is the problem. Right, sir? I see the garden is it's necessary to work. Now, how am I, without bringing about the compulsive authoritarian drive, make that student do it naturally, right? Wait, what, sir? No, you see. You understand, sir? How am I to do it?
Well, sir, probably you can go show them.
No. You show them. They say, oh, go ahead and do it. Please, madam, don't emphasize. Look at it. It is necessary, essential to work with the earth. How am I, as a teacher in a community, how am I to help them to do it? Without any form of authority, without any form of compulsion, any form of imitation. Right? How am I to do it?
I don't know.
I'll show it. We'll go into it, sir. Do you want to? Does this? Why? Going away from ourselves? All right. First of all, as we have done here, I would discuss with them, talk over it. I would, as we have done, talk about authority. The dangers of authority. Whether it's the authority of the older, authority of the authority. Then, because they are not used to freedom, but are used to reaction, you follow, sir? Therefore they say, all right, no authority, we will do what we like. Right? So we say, you can't do what you like, etc., etc. This is a community, we all have to live together. If each one did what they like, nothing would happen. So we discuss or go into it. they begin to see. When we talk about conformity, imitation, how destructive it is, right, sir? How the mind, seeking security, will conform through fear, through reward, through punishment. It will conform. So you push all that aside, open the door to all that. Right, sir? Some of them see it, some of them don't. So keep on and on. So that the mind, they themselves begin to see the importance of action without compulsion. Right? They do, some of them do, some of them don't. If you have a large number of students, out of 100 there might be 10. So, can we awaken their intelligence, which will then direct them or direct them to work with the earth? You follow? Awaken their intelligence. That is the real problem, not that they must work in the garden, in the vegetable or whatever it is. Get up at a certain time, go to bed at a certain time. All that. If we can awaken their intelligence, then the problem is solved.
Why do you want to awaken their intelligence? Why don't we leave them alone?
Wait, sir. Why don't we leave them alone? I wish we could. But society has ruined them. Ruined the parents, the grandparents, the generations of generation after generation. Each generation has been ruined by their previous generation. And now you've got a product called a baby, a child, who, if you leave him alone, he does everything opposite, contradictory. Did you see that cartoon in one of the magazines in New York? Two little children, brother and sister, are standing, looking down from a window, and the brother says to the girl, his sister, watching the hippies go down, says, "There goes the establishment." So our problem is not only with the students, but also with ourselves. We are brought up to obey, to conform, to imitate, to compete, ambitious, and all the rest of it. And all these are words as a formula which condition our thinking. And can the mind be aware of these formulas and be free of them? No, I haven't got the passion. I see, please, if I have the passion, then there's no problem.
Do you know that you are free when you are aware?
No, sir, I'm not talking. Please don't go freedom and awareness. I'm just asking you one thing. You have formulas, haven't you? For God's sake, let's be honest about this, man. Of course you have them. I am a Hindu and I've got a dozen formulas. How to meditate, how to sit when I meditate, what I should think when I meditate, how to control my thought, and so on, so on, so on. Or if I'm a communist, state is all important, individual is not, and so on, so on, so on. I've got dozens of formulas. And I see very clearly such formulas in relationship destroys relationship, wastes energy. Obviously. Now, can you see your formulas and put an instant end to them? If you can't, then you are wasting energy. You will never have passion.
Now, sir, let me bring you back a little bit to what we were discussing before. And let's translate what we were talking about this garden and the children in this garden to a national community anywhere in the world today. And then I question, aren't a few of these formulas really absolutely necessary just for survival? Let's get to talk about the Chinese society, for instance. There you are with 800 million people.
I agree, sir.
Sir, let me finish, please. And then let's say that let's remove all political ideologies and so on, and let's talk about the fact of survival only. We have to feed 800 million people, and therefore we have distributed and fragmented, agriculturally speaking, the country into so many areas, and therefore we have decided that some of these areas should be devoted to wheat, corn, and so on and so forth.
Of course, sir.
We have 4 seasons a year, and therefore, during the winter time, our efforts should be concentrated and so on and so forth, because the computers and the science have decided. So I tell the people, you people in the north are to plant whatever the case may be.
South and so on.
Now, this is a formula, and this is a conclusion, as much as it is a conclusion to tell the children here to go...
Not at all. I agree, sir. I agree with you when you say the computer politically think outside. The computer says plant this in the north, that in the east, that in the south, and so on. That's perfectly right. It is a necessity for survival.
And it's a necessity for survival here as well.
Wait, sir. Wait. Now, wait a minute. Now, what happens? You have a group of students, and they must survive. How will you bring about their survival intelligently? Not just survive.
Yes, I know.
So this is a problem. We have to meet it day after day as it arises. Not say, well, they must do this and they must not do that. This is, this. So let's come back. Sorry. I have a formula, or 1,000 or dozen formulas. Why does my mind refuse to be free of them? I know logically that's a wastage. I know in relationship with other human beings, it destroys affection, love, and all the rest of it. And it creates wars, all that. Why doesn't my mind break from it? What?
Because it has fear.
Fear.
Security.
Fear. In an illusion, I take security, and that illusion causes me fear, and I know it has no reality, and yet I go on. Why?
By looking at the formula, I no longer have to observe what is.
We don't see it as formula. Those things we see as necessity, not formula. The things that are obviously formula, we can see that some things we think are this necessity.
Sir, please, you're not answering my question. Sorry. You feel safe. You feel safe in a formula, right? Now, what is a formula? What is a formula?
The cause of action.
The cause of action. Now, wait a minute. A formula in which you take security is the cause of action. Just a minute. And before you talk about action, what is a formula? You're saying words? Huh? Just hold on a minute. Are there words?
They are distinct movements in the brain.
There are distinct movement in the brain. Sir, look, I see the children, students, and I say they must work in the garden. Hmm? Huh? No. What I'm asking you, please, what is a formula? What is the nature of a formula? Do you know what, wait a minute, do you know what that word form means? It comes from the word form. Form means to give shape to something. Idea means to see. Don't get away. I want to get away. Please, sir, do give me 2 minutes. Formula means form. Form means to give shape, give a contour to something. We give a contour, a shape, by words, right, to a thought. Thought is the word, right? Thought is not different from the word. I am a Hindu. The word makes me the Hindu. No? With all the memories, all the images, all that. So the form means giving shape to, by word, to a perception, right? I see that tree, that bush, and the mind forms, gives shapes to a thought, a word. And the mind is caught in that word, right? This is step by step, right? Are you following? So, formula is a series of words which give shape to an abstraction. That's right. Right? Right, sir? Seeing, abstraction, the abstraction is the movement of thought in words. Right? Come on, sir. What, sir? What, sir?
Is a formula a tentative bridge between my inertia and the necessity of doing something?
No, I think formula makes me more inert. So please, the basic meaning of idea is seeing. The seeing is the acting. And my mind refuses to act instantly because it has got formulas, conclusions, opinions. And therefore, there is conflict between action and the conclusion. I conclude I must not be violent. But I am violent. Right? I conclude that I must not be violent. The conclusion of not being violent is the postponement of dealing violence immediately. Right?
Sorry, sir, can you repeat that?
I don't know what I said, so I have to repeat it differently. I am violent. I'm violent because society has helped me to be violent. The human being, from from the higher apes, I have learnt with all that my whole structure of thought, being, is violent. And it has produced appalling misery in the world, and so on. So observing, watching, learning, history shows that I must not be violent. The religion says don't be violent. So there is the conclusion of not being violent, but I am violent. Now, that conclusion is the postponement of coming directly into contact with the feeling of violence and ending it instantly. That's my whole point. So, conclusions, formulas, ideologies are idiotic and wasteful. You follow? You don't accept this. This is how I live. This for me reality, not just verbal statement. If I am violent, I look at it. I go into it instantly. What? I can't hear. Why does violence end if you have no concept?
If you're in contact with it.
I'm showing it to you, madam. Why does violence end if you are in contact with it? I'm going to go. First of all, see this fact that being violent, my mind has been trained to an ideology of non-being violent, right? Right, sirs? I accept that, which means a gradual postponement of what should be done now. Evasion, escape. Escape, evasion, running away from what is a wastage of energy. I realize that for myself, not for you. I see that. Now, what takes place? I have no ideology of non-violence. So, I am violent. The feeling. Now, what takes place? I am violent. What does violence mean? Anger, all that. Imitation, conformity, copying, ambition, all that is a form of violence. Now, I'm investigating, looking at that word, the significance of that word, the nature and the structure of that word. Why does the mind identify itself when that feeling arises with a word which is called violence? You're following this? You understand? Are we sharing this together? No, sir. No. I'm going to show, I'll come to it, so we'll see it in a minute. No, sir. No, sir, please don't be sorry for anything. No, please, sir. Now, I want to find out why the mind, when this feeling arises, uses that word. It uses that word because it has had that feeling before. And that word, each time that feeling arises, it is identified by a word which is called violence. Now, why does the mind do this? Are you following all this? Watch it, sir. We are going into it. Why does the mind use that word? Is it a habit? Please. Or by identifying through the word, it strengthens that feeling and gives it more vitality for it to continue. And also it gives it a sense of pleasure. Wait, sir, I'm going to it. Look, watch it in yourself, sir. And in the process of recognition of that feeling through a word, the mind has strengthened that feeling. It rationalizes or does something. All kinds of things it does. Now, can the mind look at that feeling without the word? You understand, sir? By looking at it with the word, I have recognized it and strengthened it. Are you right, sir? Now, can the mind look at that feeling without the recognition of it? Wait, sir. Wait, go slow. Do it. Do it as we are talking, and you will see it in a minute. I understand what you're going to say. Go slowly, sir. That requires enormous attention, doesn't it? You understand, sir? Look, you call me a fool, and I become immediately violent. Because I have an image about myself that I'm not a fool, I'm a great man. And I become violent. In that moment, the mind operates with such rapidity that says, that's violence. The recognition takes instantly. Now I'm asking myself, you call me a fool. The feeling arises, and is it possible to look at that feeling without recognition through a word of that feeling?
Can you
Look at it, sir. Look, this demands tremendous attention, tremendous discipline. Discipline, not conformity. Discipline in the sense that you are watching to learn what's going to happen. The learning of what is going to happen is discipline. That is, I have become violent because you have called me a fool, and I reject totally the ideology of nonviolence. Totally, not partially. It has no meaning to me. So I say, why does the mind with such rapidity recognize that feeling through a word? Why does it want to recognize it at all? Come on, sir. No, watch it in yourself, sir. Please watch it in yourself. Don't answer. What, sir?
Are not animals in the same boat?
What?
Do you not think animals are in the same boat here?
I am not talking of animals. I'm talking about you. There, please observe it. I'm conditioned that way. Now, can my mind be free of that conditioning, which is the verbal recognition of that feeling, and say, let me look at it, let's observe without the word.
It takes the life away from it.
And please do it.
Yes, but it takes the life out of it by doing that. It has no life.
Look, madam, aren't you violent? Not you, I mean, aren't you violent sexually? Ambitions, greedy, possessive, violent. You want your opinions carried out. You want a position, authority. All that is a form of violence. Now, it arises in you. And the usual conditioning is to run away from it by having an ideology about it, right? Say, I must not be violent. The ideal of non-violence is marvelous. So many people have preached about it, and it's excellent. And I will gradually become non-violent. In the meantime, you are fully violent. Now, you reject completely the ideology of not being. What is violence. Now move from there. Can the mind observe that feeling without the word?
Sir, if you're calling me a fool, and at that moment I choose to observe, there's in me a neutralization of that word.
Sir, you're missing something. That word is you.
That's right. That's why.
The word is you. The word is violence. The word is me. I'm getting at it slowly. Go into it, sir. Do it with me.
Is the point observe what without the word?
What, sir?
Observe what without the word?
Look, sir. You call me an idiot. I agree with you, because you are my boss. You call me an idiot. My reaction, all my cockles rise, and say, I'm not an idiot, all the anger. Now, can I look at that feeling without resorting to the verbal expression of that feeling? Come on, sir. Wait, I'm going to find out. So I'm asking, is the word different from the feeling? Or is the word creating the feeling? Or, if the word is not, is there the feeling?
So doesn't the feeling, if you call me a fool, is because I have a pattern already in my mind that I'm not a fool. Therefore the feeling is created by that I don't want to be called a fool, by this pattern. So the feeling, then the next step is I say I must move away from it, or I call it anger or whatever. But the feeling that arises comes from me having a conflict with a fact you call, say, fool, and my image says I'm not a fool.
Yes, sir, I understand.
So the feeling arises from the division there.
Yes, but sir, look, mustn't the feeling arise? Mustn't the feeling arise?
Perhaps not so.
No, wait, I'm asking, sir, do look at it a little more. How quick we are. Do take time. Mustn't the feeling arise? The feeling won't arise if you're not sensitive. The feeling won't arise if you're not sensitive. You put a pin into me, you follow? I am sensitive enough to feel the pain. It is only a paralyzed leg won't feel the pain.
But the pattern is paralyzed.
Wait, sir, I'm going into it. You call me a fool. The feeling arises because I've imagined so on. The feeling, if I have no feeling at all, what would happen? I'm dead. You're looking at it the other way around, sir. Look, sir, you flatter me. say, you're a marvelous man. And I delighted. You're my friend and all the rest of it. And if I listen to that flattery, having dead, you follow? Being dead, not hearing at all, then there is no problem. You understand? If I'm dead, wait, sir, I'm going into them. My God. I am being sensitive. That word awakens a lot of things, right? If I am not sensitive, dull, blind, deaf, then there's no problem. Then that feeling arises. That feeling arises because I have an image about myself. And I say, why do I have that image? Because I have society, all that created in me, that's part of my conditioning. I reject that image. I really reject it. Wait. How do you know? Look, sir. I see it was a lovely morning this morning, right? Marvelous. The sky was clean, blue, fresh, young. Right? There was great delight in looking at it. Through the leaves, all that. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Wait a minute, there's nothing.
But you ask, what is wrong with it?
There's nothing wrong with that, is there?
I think if that delight, which is a quality of joy in oneself, depends on something outside.
No, sir, you're complicating it so much. I'm just taking it so simple. I delight. There was such beauty in the air, fresh and the glory of a morning. Now, that's spoiled by my wife, friend, who says, oh, go and wash the dishes. It irritates me. I want to remain looking at that window, I enjoy myself. And somebody comes and says, get the heck out of here and go and wash dishes. And I go and wash dishes. The thing has gone. You follow, the feeling of irritation arises. Now, can I look at that irritation without the word? That's all. Stick to that simple thing. I understand your problem, sir. Let us begin. Let us look at it simply first and then complicate it, sir. Don't complicate it first and then... Now, here it is. Can I look at that irritation without the word? And therefore without the person who irritated me. You follow? Can I look at that feeling? I can. Wait, I can, you are saying.
Surely you can look at anything you want to.
No, not I look at anything if I want to.
If it's there, it's there.
I want to look. Because I am irritated, I begin to get annoyed with her or with that person. I begin to get irritated. I become rude. I say things which are ugly. Therefore, conflict arises. And I want to live without a single conflict. Why? It's a wastage of energy. It's like a marvelous motor running beautifully. I've got a marvelous mechanism, the organism of the body, the organism of the mind, the brain. It's a marvelous instrument, most beautifully sensitive, alive, and I want it to function without the least friction. Because the more it functions without friction, the more energy, etc., etc. That is real passion. Wait a minute. So, I see. Huh?
Look at something. You have to be still.
Are you still? No, then why? Don't say you have to be still.
I thought they had gone. If I want to look at the tree,
Madam, I'm saying to you, we are pointing out, I am irritated. Can I observe that irritation without the word, without the formula, without anger and so on? Which means, can the mind observe that irritation out of silence? Put it any way you like. Can you do it? Not speculate about doing it.
Can conflict ever be creative?
Can conflict ever be creative? That's what the modern literature says they can. They are in conflict with their wives, with their society, with their ambition. They are frustrated in themselves. They are contradictory. There is great tension. Out of that tension, they write a book. And that book becomes very popular. And they call him creative writer. You know the game that one plays. This is all very simple. Now, I'm asking, so let's come back to this thing. To observe means to observe silently. Can the mind observe the violence it has brought about in itself silently, without the word? When there is the word, which is the formula, the ideology, then there is division, then there is conflict, and rationalization. In that conflict you do all kinds of idiotic things. That is a wastage of energy. And that prevents this extraordinary sense of passion coming into being.
Feeling is one of terror. For instance, a very long-standing fear, say of a phobia, a fear of spiders, say you've had over years, and you know you're a base attack. These are very clear to you, but it's absolute terror.
I understand that, sir. The question is, I must repeat it because, is one has absolute terror. Say, for example, of a spider. You see the spider and you get terrified. And you don't know what to do with it. And that goes on year after year, year after year. How is that terror to be put away, right? Right, that's the question, isn't it, sir? How do you think? What do you think? Is that terror arose because your mother, not your mother, instance, one's mother put you on the wrong pot? You understand what I'm talking about? Analysis. Go back, analyze your grandmother and your fellow mother and prenatal condition. No. You're afraid, you're terrified by some animal, darkness, a word, by somebody, terrified. Now, how will you meet this? You understand, sir? Analysis is one thing, and what we are doing is not, right? To me, analysis is not an answer. It's evasion. It is a postponement. It has no validity when you want to act. Paralysis is analysis, right? Now let's move from there. Now, how is the mind to be free of some terror? Come on, sir. Huh?
It's not different from the terror.
No, don't, sir. Look, I am in terror. Huh? Don't verbalize, say terror is not different from the observer. I know nothing about all that. I'm terrified.
You watch the spider.
Forget its name.
Look, haven't you been terrified ever?
So can I speak to you from my experience of this, of dealing with this?
Sir, there's one, he has expressed his feeling. Just a minute, sir. He has expressed it. We are discussing. Haven't you experienced terror? You have said something, and the person going to use it to destroy you, to hurt you. That's a form of terror. And every time you meet that person, and you know he's going to do some harm to you, or you meet somebody, an idea, a priest, a concept that unless you do this, you go to hell. You follow? Catholic idea of heaven and hell. And that is instilled into you from childhood. You may have left the church and all that, and yet this feeling of going to hell is tremendously strong. Now, how will you meet that? What? What, sir?
With understanding.
But tell me, sir, what to do. Don't use words. What am I to do? I'm terrified. Are you helping him, sir? Are you helping me?
Don't run away from it.
Face it.
Don't face it. Don't turn away from it.
Accept it.
Now, just a minute. What takes place when I meet that spider or that man or that woman? I'm terrified at that moment. At that moment, I'm paralyzed, right, sir? Why am I paralyzed? What has made me paralyzed?
I have an image of
Wait, don't. What has made me paralyzed? Look at yourself. Aren't you afraid of something? Huh? Wait a minute, aren't you afraid of something? Terrified by something? Losing a job, losing your wife or your son or your house or God knows what. Terrified. So what do you do at that moment? You're paralyzed. You can't do anything, can you? You can't say, understand. You are the word and the word is you. Take milk and everything will be all right. I mean, there's no meaning to all that. So at the moment, I'm paralyzed. I can't do anything at that moment, right? The spider, the man or the woman goes away. Then I realize I'm terrified. Not at the moment. See what has taken place, sir. At the moment, I'm paralyzed, which I call terror. Right? Later on, I become aware of that terror. A second later, it may be. Now, what takes place then? I perspire. It has happened. You follow, sir? This I'm not talking verbally. It's actually taking place when I was walking and a dog came and held my ankle. Never mind. Now, so what takes place later? My whole body becomes my whole body becomes aware, alive, right? And The terror is a remembered thing, right? Which has happened, I'm out of it. Then I say I'm being terrified. Now I'm going to prevent myself from future terrors. I don't know if you're right. Now I'm going to prevent future terrors arising. Therefore I won't meet that person. I'm going to be awfully careful not to walk anywhere near the spiders. I'm going to be very careful of dogs. You follow? Which means what? Watch it, sir. Which means what? I'm not going to meet you anymore. I don't want to meet you.
You'll bump into him into the street.
What?
Because you don't want to see him, you'll bump into him into the street.
I know, sir, but I'm going to avoid it. No, I don't bump into him at all because I'm much more aware than he is. Oh, you don't meet all this. I see him far ahead, therefore I turn, go away. Do watch it, sir. Please watch it, sir. What happens? When I say I won't meet you, I'll be awfully careful of the dogs. I'll be awfully watchful of spiders. What have I done? No, please, no. What have I done? No. I have built a wall. Wall against you, haven't I? Wall against the dog, wall against the spider. Right? That wall is going to make me more frightened. So I've learned something. Any form of resistance brings about greater danger of terror. Right? I haven't solved the problem of terror. It's still there, but I built a wall. And that wall, I hope, is going to prevent it, but it won't. So I realized building a wall is a great stupidity, right? I won't build it. Finished. There is action. You see, sir? I see actually building a wall against you does not free the mind from the terror. So the seeing is the ending of building that wall. And if it has been built already, I won't build any more. Then my question is, what am I to do with the walls which I have built? See, sir, what happens. I won't build any more, right? What takes place when you won't build any more? Is there any wall, old or new? Of course not, sir. When there is no action of the wall, the Berlin Wall, if it doesn't exist, old or, you follow? So you have no resistance, I have no resistance against you. I've learned that. I've acted on that. So what takes place? Come on, sir. So I'm talking. What?
Sir, what happens with someone who has lost his memory by an accident?
That's a different question, sir. What happens to a man who has lost his memory, amnesia? What takes place? That's a different question. Doctors, nurses, if you're well enough, or friend, that's a different question.
If you build no wall, you're faced with your fear.
What?
If you don't build a wall, you're alone with your fear. You've got no protection against
Now have you stopped building the wall? Not you, madam. Have you, sir, have we stopped building that wall of resistance? Because you see, though you have built that wall, terror still exists, It would be stupid on my, neurotic on my part to keep on building the wall. So there is the ending of building. If I don't build a new wall, the old wall is not. See, right, sir? If you stop building the wall, a new wall, you can only build a new wall on the old wall. If you are not building, the old wall is not. Come on, sir, this is simple.
One is frightened to get hurt.
Huh?
One gets frightened to get hurt.
No, madam, we've been... You see how they go back and forth. I am afraid of you, terrified of you. At that moment, I am paralyzed. Follow it step by step, and you'll see it for yourself. Then you realize you're terrified, and you say, by Jove, I must be hereafter very careful not to meet that man again, or the whatever it is. So I built a wall against you, hoping thereby to get rid of my terror. But it is there. I'm always watching, in spite of the wall. So I see the wall does not prevent or free the mind from terror. So the ending is important. The ending of building that wall is finished. Do you see that? If you see it, it has ended. Then what takes place?
Do you mean
What takes place? If I have no resistance, what takes place?
then you confront
Sir, look, sir. I used to be frightened of you, terrified. And I increased that fear, terror, by building the wall. I don't build a wall anymore. Which is, I built the wall in order to protect myself against you. And now I don't protect myself. What takes place?
I don't know. I'll find out.
What, sir?
I don't know. I'll find out.
A different meaning now, sir.
What, sir?
Different meaning now.
No, sir, I have no terror.
You see that without the barrier,
Oh, for the love of God.
so that
The moment I resist, fear exists. And then you see, the moment I resist, fear exists.
So, but did one resist in the first place? When I met you and I felt that original fear, I mean, what was it the image that...
Of course, image, ideas, reputation, all kinds of things have. What? Of course. Don't try. Do it.
Then fly to East Germany, sir, and convince the East Germans, and you will have the thanks of the whole German people.
What, sir?
If you do precisely what you are advocating now, fly to East Germany and convince them to take down that wall, and you will have the thanks of the entire German nation.
But the wall's there in you.
Sir, there is a wall between Pakistan and India. There's a wall between the Arab and the Jew. There's a wall between the British and the French and the Italians. There's a wall between... And you are the Italian, the French, the German, the Hindu, the etc. Remove the wall and you will see what happens. Now let's go back. Passion exists only when there is no conflict. Conflict exists when there is fragmentation in myself, and when my mind is incapable of looking at life as a whole. Right, sir? Why does my mind not look at life as a whole? Why does it say, I'm terrified here, I have pleasure there, and I want to be ambitious? You follow? Fragmented. Why? Quelle heure est-il? Oh, 1h15. 5. I think we better stop and continue on Thursday, don't you?